Hello, my name is David Porter, and I do a lot of work in a Windows environment on my other laptop and my other devices. But I also do a lot of things on my iPad, and I want to have the capacity that if I'm working on something on my iPad, because I have my iPad or my iPhone with me a lot, I want to be able to do some of those things to get it started. So here's an alternative to Microsoft Word that's on the iPad. Now let me show you this a little bit. This is called Pages. This app is called Pages. And a lot of times when you're searching on your iPad, you'll find that right here at the bottom here. So, and I've already started something before to show you, to give you just an idea of what you can do with it. Now let me give you some background with it. If you go here, if you want to change the options, let's say you want to change your layout. You see how over here I have this as landscape. I can change it to portrait or landscape. Now, if I want to adjust the margins, I go to more options right here, and you can adjust the margins like so. And if you want to put something in your footer or your header, just put in something here just to show you all how you can do that. And if you want to put pages on the bottom, you can go down here. Let's say I want to put my pages over here, go to page numbers, and let's say if I want to put it like that. And then this way, you're setting up your document before you start your work. That's generally how I work. Now, you see how right here it can tell you what your margins is. Sometimes I like to use the point 0.5, and that's just my preference. Your preference may be different, but I just want to show you how this works. Then I go back to done. Now, that's what I did there. And I'm going to take off. Now, what I want to do with this now, I want to go to done right here, put on my screen, put on my keyboard. So now let me show you how you can do something similar to this. See how this is up here? You see how this is saying pages right here? So you can see that right there when you're working on this. But let me show you how to set up one for yourself. Okay, let's say if you wanted to start a new one. First, you want to go here to the plus mark right here. Then you want to go to blank. And again, for myself, for some of my layouts, I like them to be landscape, depends on what I'm doing. So before I do anything, I try to set up everything before I start. First, I try to give it a name similar to what to help me find it. And generally, this is my preference. I generally put a date or something here with a letter or something like that behind it in case I have different versions on it. And I like to see multiple versions to see what I've done, or just in case I have to go back to a previous version that I don't do anything over it. So I separate them like that. And now let's go back here again up there. Now you see that what it's called right there. Now I could change the name by going to rename, or let's say go to document options, go to document setup. Now, over here on your right, you're going to see portrait or landscape. Depends on how you want to set your document up. Your page size is going to be here. You can also do custom. Generally, I use letter. And then let's say when I'm working on my margins, you see down here at the bottom, so it says you can adjust your margins and headers and that type of information. You go to more, press this button for more options. And as you press this, you see this document. This serves basically almost like not a template, but to me, it serves as a document before I get started with everything else. Now, if you want to adjust your margins, you see how it's right there. I usually like to use a point 0.5, and that's just my preference. And you may have a different preference. And you see how that goes over like that. You just adjust it. And again, this is the iPad. Now, at the top here, I like to put a header to help me remind me of what I'm doing in case also anybody that's looking at the finished document, they have an idea what page they're on. Now, if you want to go to the bottom right here to the right, you can also, you see how it says page numbers? You can put that there and just press that. I mean, this is very easy to use. And if you want to go to format, you can make it bold if you want to and say, I'm just putting something here just to show you all how this works. Now, I use the keyboard that's on the iPad. I could use an external keyboard, but I generally use the one that's on the iPad. Now, you see the keys down here, you clear that board. If that's the way you want it, let's say also you want a line up under that, up under the words. Just tap on that, or you can go to format and you can say underline that way or ununderline. You can do it that way as well. So you can do that right there. And let's say for me, I like this to be a little closer because I like to utilize as much of the page as I can. And if I wanted to give the page a border, I can hold it right here and then select it, select all, and then I can give it a border if I want to. Now this plus mark up here, this also allows like if you wanted to incorporate some type of picture or camera, maybe you recording or something like that. If I wanted to do that, I go right here and I can turn that around like that. And there's a picture of myself that I'm not saying you want to put that on there, but I'm just trying to show you how to use the product. Now, when you go back here also, let's say if you want to add a table, if you want to add any charts or anything like that, if you want to add any shapes. Now, we're in this lesson here, we're going to be going over shapes later, but I just wanted to show you that. If you want to add any pictures, again, that's right there. Now, as I format this and got it the way I want it to look, now I want to go to done right here. That was on the left side. And then I want to go to done again. Now, what I wanted to do here for this lesson here is to show you some of the useful tools, useful elements of this tool. If you go right here, you can see your track changes and things like that, presentation mode. You can go to these settings. And also, I like to go to the settings to make sure I didn't change something to make sure it's still the way that I want it to be. Now, you see up here, also, let's go to the Customize toolbar. The Customize toolbar, if you want to add something else up there, all you have to do is just grab it and push it up there. I generally like these two to be next to each other. And so you can move things around like that. You have something that'll help you group activities together or group elements, make connections. So you can almost customize your toolbar if you wanted to. Then you press done. Okay, now, so we have that up here. Now you see how the ruler is at the top there. The way I put that up there is you go here and you go here and you see how there you see the hide ruler. You can press here and you see how it's gone, or you can go back here and say show ruler and then it's back. Now, if you wanted to hide any comments or anything like that, or if you have more than one page, you can see that. If you want to see the page thumbnails, you could also see that as well. Sometimes I like to see that because it shows me, in case if I have multiple pages, I can see it. So it's based off the user preference. Now, let's insert some shapes. And I want to show you how to do this because at first I struggled with it, but then once I think I got it, it actually became very easy to use. So let's go here to shapes. And let's say I have a shape here that I want. Again, this is just, I could tap in the middle of it and then I go to format. Then this is if I start typing any text in it, I could do that. But now let's say for the shapes itself, you see this brush over here on the right side at the top? press that button there. Now you see the fill. Let's say for training purposes, we want to see that there, like that. You can change it to whatever color you want. You can preset it. You can do a lot of different things with it. I mean, it's very easy to use. Depends on what you want to do with it. You can also flip the colors. So let's say if I wanted to do that, I can do that with my fill. You see how you can change your colors that way. It's up to you how you want to do it. I really enjoy this product as I started playing with it. Sometimes you have to play with the app to get an idea of what it can do before you're ready to work in it. Okay, now let's click out of that. Now, what I generally like to do though, let's go back to the field, excuse me. I want to make that blank so that it'll help us with what we're doing here. And I want that to be blank. Now, for that border, I want to go to the border and I want to put a border, but I want to put a different color on the border because I want you all to be able to see when I'm doing different activities later on. Okay, now I'm not perfect at this yet, but it is fun to mess around with. Now, while I'm setting up the shape, I also go to arrange. You see arrange up here? Go to arrange, and this is something that I usually take off or make this adjustment early on because later on I may want to attach some type of connector to different objects. So first thing I want to do is go to take it off from move it text, and then I want to go to text wrap, and I usually take that off as well. Now, when I'm going back up here, you see this up here at the top where it says move to back front. You want to take this all the way over when it lets you to, because then later on when you're trying to connect something, you're going to be able to connect it later. Now let's look at the text. Later on, you see the color of my text right now is white. So that means had I started typing something in the box or in the shape, I would not have been able to see it. So you want to go here, whatever color you want that text to be, whatever color you want it to be. I'm just going to say this for right now. And I'm going to say that I want it to be bold. And maybe if I want it underlined, and let's say, you see how it's, right now it's centered. So I can change it this way, or I can change it this way. Now, I'm not using any bullets right now. I'll come back and make that adjustments later. But then also I can say if I want the size, the margins that I want to deal with my text. Generally 4 is good for me for what we're doing here. Okay? Now, my style. We already went over that a little bit. Now, let's look at the width of the border. You see how when I press that plus button next to the width, you see how the border line adjusts. So that's how easy you can do that. If you want to add a shadow, you can do that if you want to. And add a shadow at the bottom. So it's a lot of things that you can do with this. You have to basically just play around with it to get an idea of what you want to do. Now, what I want to do first with this, though, let's go ahead and get out of this. Let's get out of that. I want to copy this. And then I want to touch on another part of the screen. And then I want to paste. And then I want to move it here. Right here. And the reason I decided to copy it is because now you see how that line that comes up there, that is showing you, almost like a guideline, is showing you where your margins are. Now, I adjust it right here. And the reason I copied it is because I wanted it to bring over some of the characteristics that I had already put in this for it. Let's copy it again. And the reason I'm copying it again because I want the smaller version of it. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to paste again. Now, I'm going to move this right here. And I'm doing this on purpose so that you can see, again, you see the margins at the bottom and you see the margin to the side. See how that there? So it's showing you your margins right there. If you want to see the margins over here, I probably got have to adjust my screen so you can see that, but you can do the same thing. Now, this is what I want to do now also. I want to show you how to do a connection. Pressing that, right? You see the bar, the brush up here? Go to the brush. Now, I want to make sure that still lines up with what I want. I gave it a reflection. I'm going to change that reflection, that one, so we can see the difference in it. So I probably should have just do that way. Again, so we can see the difference. Let's get out of that. Now, let's tap into this again and go to select object. You can see that there. Now, what I want to do now, I want to go and I want to add or connect an object to this. Go to add to shape and go across the top here to basic and you can find your shapes that curve. Place that there. Now, before I connect it, what I generally do, I tap on that and I go up here the same way I did the other one. And you see how the connection says curve. Now, you see how I go to a range. You see how range is all the way over for the move to back to front. That's important because what's going to happen is that's going to impact your ability to make connections. You want to go to text wrap, and I use to make that none. That's me. Now, as I go to this right here to my line, then I connect it that way, and then I connect it that way. You see how it snapped to it? Now, anytime I move this, that line moves also with it. I want to make sure, again, I go all the way here because I want them to stay connected together. Now, let's say I wanted to add another line. Oops. Let's say I go here and I go again. Want to add to shapes. Go here. Again, let's say if I want to go back here and now I can move this here. And you see how that's there? Now, what I want to do, I want to snap it wherever I want to snap it at and move it here. Now, I probably got to play with this a little bit more here. Okay. All right. Now, what I did now, anytime I move these, I can now, that line would also move with it. And if I wanted to adjust the curvature of it, I just move it right here. See this green dot right here? I just move it right here, and that helps me adjust the curvature of it. Okay. And if I wanted to change the color of the line, I go to color, and let's say I'm going to make it blue. And let's say I want it to be a dotted line. You see how that changed there? So it's really easy to use. And again, this is just to give you an idea of some of the things you can do. You probably know more about it than me, but I just enjoyed messing with it. So, okay. Now, let's get out of that. Tap on the brush. Now, you see how that moves around like that. So you have that. Again, there's your, in case you want to make something, you can do a lot of things with this. And for what I like to do, I like to show visuals that go along. And you see how that helps me line that up also? I use that like a guide. I like to use visuals to help me with my training and things like that when I'm trying to show people something. So that's just a snapshot of how you can use Pages on your iPad. And again, I have my iPad with me a lot more than I do the laptop. And sometimes I want to be able to create and start creating my information while it's on my mind. So I have my iPad and my iPhone. I can just pull it out and get it started. I hope this has been helpful to you. I know it's not a great video, but I hope it's been helpful to you. Thank you. Have a nice day.